Welcome to the Explainer. So we've all seen it, right? You're watching a movie or reading a comic and there's that hero or villain who has this ultimate superpower where they just literally cannot feel physical pain. They take a massive hit, brush it right off, and keep on going. And honestly, it looks like this incredible, invincible advantage. But today, we're going to completely dismantle that pop culture myth. We're going to dive into the truly terrifying biological and psychological realities of living a life completely without physical suffering, because, as you'll see, what sounds like an absolute dream is actually a profound physiological failure.
Think about it for a second. What if you never felt physical pain again? No more stubbed toes absolutely ruining your morning, no more headaches, no more burning your tongue on a hot cup of coffee. On the surface, yeah, it sounds amazing, but when we actually look at the medical data, this universal fantasy very quickly turns into an unimaginable nightmare of physical and emotional disconnection. Pain, as much as we complain about it, is a totally essential homeostatic warning system. Without it, you are essentially flying blind in a world absolutely full of unseen hazards.
To give you an idea of what this looks like in reality, picture this. Dr. Yasuhiro Indo is doing a routine heel prick on a newborn baby for a standard blood test. Now, usually, this results in immediate, piercing cries. Obviously, right? But instead, he was met with this eerie, unnatural silence. He actually recalled thinking out loud, "Why does this baby not cry?" And that silence? It wasn't a sign of a uniquely tough infant. It was the very first signal of a profound physiological failure, right from the moment of birth. Turns out, that baby was born with a condition called congenital insensitivity to pain, or CIP. It's an extremely rare genetic condition that completely inhibits the ability to perceive physical pain from birth. Think of your body like a high-tech facility. Pain is the biological alarm system that alerts you to environmental hazards, extreme temperatures, tissue damage, the whole shebang. In people with CIP, that entire alarm system is just missing. It totally destroys the body's homeostatic warning network.
So what's actually going on under the hood here? Well, under normal conditions, like if you touch a hot stove, sensory nerves detect the damage, right? Voltage-gated sodium channels, specifically these ones called Nav 1.7 channels, open up and fire off rapid electrical warnings straight to your brain. But in someone with CIP, due to genetic mutations in genes like SCN9A, those sodium channels completely fail. The nociceptors are there, but they just can't generate a signal. Which means tissue destruction happens in total, literal silence.
And this is where things get genuinely terrifying. Without that protective stop signal, a silent body goes through rapid-fire horror in the real world. Pediatric self-mutilation is tragically common. When babies start teething, they naturally explore everything with their mouths. But without the negative feedback of pain, an infant with CIP will literally gnaw on their own body parts. We're talking chewing off the tips of their own tongues or biting their fingers right down to the bone. Toddlers will get unnoticed corneal abrasions from just scratching their eyes too hard, which can lead to vision loss. They'll run around on silent bone fractures from normal play or develop deep chronic bone infections called osteomyelitis. Why? Simply because they lack the basic instinctual knowledge that they need to stop and let their bodies heal.
The orthopedic side of this is particularly devastating. Imagine jumping off a playground structure, fracturing your tibia, and just continuing to run on it because you feel absolutely nothing. Over time, this unfelt mechanical stress literally grinds the bones and joints into this grossly disorganized, swollen, and unstable condition known as Charcot joints. The joints are just destroyed from repeated, unfelt microtrauma. What would normally be a simple fracture that you treat with a cast becomes this catastrophic injury that often requires complex surgical stabilization or even amputation.
Now, organizations like the National Institutes of Health are working tirelessly to map these rare genetic anomalies and understand the underlying channelopathies to hopefully develop gene therapies one day. But for the actual patients, their everyday reality is vastly different. It's a constant, daily, life-or-death battle against their own environment. They are walking around in bodies that stubbornly refuse to tell them when they are breaking down. But wait, it actually gets worse. For patients with a specific mutation in the NTRK1 gene, the lack of pain is coupled with an even deadlier environmental threat known as SEPA. The A in SEPA stands for anhidrosis, which means the complete inability to sweat. Sweating is our body's primary way of cooling down and regulating internal temperature. So these individuals are missing not only their pain alarm, but also their critical internal thermostat. Because of this severe lack of thermoregulation, they are extremely prone to hyperpyrexia, basically extreme unexplained overheating. And the numbers here are staggering. Approximately 20% of patients with SEPA die before they even reach the age of 3. They suffer from extreme fevers that can lead to febrile seizures and death.
simply because their bodies have zero physiological way to release excess heat on a normal hot summer day or after running around.
So, beyond the horrific physical toll and those hidden environmental dangers, this condition reveals a really profound and totally unexpected psychological deficit. It turns out our physical pain is deeply connected to how we connect with others emotionally. This is what researchers call the empathy paradox, and it shows us how the absence of physical pain directly impacts the development of human empathy. Which brings us to a fascinating question that was explored in a landmark study by Dr. Nicholas Danziger and his team. How do you understand others' pain if you have never, ever felt it? I mean, if you've never experienced the sharp sting of a paper cut, the intense ache of a burn, or the throb of a broken bone, how can you possibly comprehend someone else's physical suffering when you see it happening right in front of you?
Functional MRI scans have given us a really brilliant window into this. Normally, when we see someone get hurt, our brains use something called mirror matching. Areas of our own pain matrix, like the anterior insula, literally light up. We feel this automatic neurological empathy because of our shared physical experience. We basically feel a shadow of their pain. But for CIP patients, that instinctual resonance just isn't there. When they see someone injured, their pain matrix stays dark. Instead, they have to rely strictly on cognitive perspective taking. They have to intellectually figure out that someone is hurting based on visual cues and social knowledge. It's a purely analytical process, totally missing that automatic emotional reaction.
Dr. Danziger hit the nail on the head when he noted the patients with congenital insensitivity to pain rely crucially on their cognitive abilities to imagine the pain of others. Because they don't have that automatic visceral resonance, they often significantly underestimate how much pain someone else is in, especially if the injured person isn't overtly screaming or crying. This heavy reliance on intellectual empathy rather than emotional resonance often leads to a really profound sense of social alienation. They feel fundamentally disconnected from the shared human narrative of physical vulnerability.
So how do you actually survive when your body refuses to warn you of danger? Try to step into their shoes for a second and imagine living this daily reality. I have to do twice daily full-body visual checks for redness or bruising because a simple red spot might literally kill me. I have to wear protective eyewear constantly so I don't accidentally blind myself by rubbing my eyes. I even have to set a timer on my watch just to remember to go to the bathroom or eat because I never actually feel hungry or full. The reality is, with no cure available, my family and I basically have to act as my body's missing nervous system. We meticulously child-proof our environment and rely on a massive team of surgeons and dentists just to proactively catch what I can't feel. It is a lifelong, incredibly exhausting, highly choreographed routine just to protect a body that simply cannot protect itself. So, when we strip away the comic book fantasy and really look deeply at the terrifying reality of a painless existence, we are left to wonder about the true purpose of our suffering. If pain is what ensures our physical survival, prevents us from destroying our own bodies, and binds us together in this automatic, instinctual empathy, we really have to ask, is our capacity to suffer actually what makes us human? It's a chilling thought for sure, and one that is definitely going to change how you view your next stubbed toe. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. See you next time.